Hi, Taylor T. Carlson, back with another video for you. If you know me at all, you know that I love all things 80s. Music, movies, you name it, I'm probably into it. So I thought it would be a good idea to go back and look at another one of my personal favorite 80s movies, Brewster's Millions. This was actually just reissued by Shout Factory as part of their Shout Select line. It had previously been released on a bare bones disc a few years back. Chances are you've heard of this movie, seeing as how it stars Richard Pryor and John Candy, but what you may not have known is that this was not the first film version of this story. I believe this is actually the 7th movie version of it. Richard Pryor stars as Montgomery Brewster, who's a down-on-his-luck minor league baseball pitcher, and John Candy co-stars as Spike Nolan, his catcher and best friend. When the two's antics at a bar get them thrown in jail with no hope of being bailed out by their team, they're bailed out by a mysterious benefactor who takes them to New York City, where they learn the strange truth that Brewster actually had a distant relative who passed away, leaving behind a fortune of several $1 million. Brewster is given a challenge. He can either take $1 million and walk away, or he can spend $30 million within 30 days and inherit $300 million. However, there are several catches to this proposition, including how he can and can't spend the money, which further complicates things. Naturally, being that this was the 1980s and the decade of excess in the middle of New York City, of course he's going to go for the challenge. But what he doesn't know is that there are a lot of other challenges that are going to face him, including a stipulation in the will that he's not allowed to tell anyone what he's doing. As if that wasn't bad enough, there's a mole in the company that's facilitating the money who's deliberately trying to sabotage him and make him lose the fortune. Will he end up spending the $30 million and inherit the $300 million, or will he walk away with nothing? This is certainly not a perfect film by any means. Even for Pryor and Candy, it's not one of the things that's at the very top of their extensive back catalogs. But this is definitely an enjoyable film. It's got a great cast, and the premise is just absolutely absurd and hilarious. Again, this is not the first version of this story, so the fact that we're still seeing variations on this concept all these years later goes to show just how enjoyable, entertaining, over the top, and ridiculous it really is. I'm not going to go into any major plot points or spoilers, but I am going to say it's a pretty funny and at times pretty intense film. The only real weakness that I think the movie has is it bites off a little more than it can chew. It introduces way too many characters and plot points. Even people like Yakov Smirnoff and Rick Moranis appear in the film, but they're relegated to not much more than what basically amounts to cameos. Overall, I would say that the conclusion is pretty satisfactory, and I don't think anyone who rents this film, buys it, and watches it is going to walk away disappointed. It's a great slice of 1980s cinema, and it's basically designed to be funny, to entertain, and it certainly does that. Like I said before, this movie had previously been released on Blu-ray, but it was really just a bare-bones disc that had no bonus features whatsoever. Shout Factory, however, has stepped up the game and released it as part of their Shout Selects collection, and they've actually included a few bonus features. First of all, and this is the big one, you actually get a second movie in this collection. You get a 1945 adaptation of the story in black and white, which it's definitely a far cry from what you'd expect in the 1980s, but including this was a great piece of history, and I'm very glad to have it here. In addition, you have a few new interviews and a commentary track as well. As far as the picture quality on this disc goes, the transfer, from what I can see, is more or less the same as the previous disc, and that's not a bad thing. A lot of these movies that were filmed on 1980s film stock weren't really done with the utmost of care, and a lot of them just, you often have the transfer slapped on a disc with no care or anything regarding the picture's overall quality whatsoever. Fortunately, this transfer, as well as the transfer on the older disc, actually look pretty solid. It's much better than I would expect a back catalog title like this, which some would consider to be a B-tier title, to look. Yeah, Brewster's Millions is certainly a minor classic for both John Candy and Richard Pryor, and it's definitely worth rediscovering. If you already bought it on Blu-ray, whether you should double dip and buy this version really amounts to, do you want to get the other earlier version of the film and what few bonus features there are? And it's going to come down to a matter of taste. Overall, though, I'm glad I swung for this version of the movie. The features are a nice touch, and it definitely holds up today. What do you think of Brewster's Millions? Is it one of your favorite films from the 80s? Are you not a fan? Either way, let me know what you think down in the comment section below. Please like this video and subscribe to my channel. I'm Taylor T. Carlson. See you next time.